Hello everyone. As you can see on the screen, there is a very important organic chemistry topic, Markovnikov's and anti-Markovnikov's addition reaction mechanism. This is very important from class 11th point of view because it is introduced there and you need to understand the mechanism in detail. So I chose this topic purposely so that you have clarity, and whenever after 11th class you have to apply this concept anywhere, you can do that easily without any confusion. So let's understand it. Here you can see an example of addition reaction. Addition of hydrogen halides we are considering. So hydrogen halides, as we all know, have the general formula HX. So it may be HCl, HBr, HI, and it will be added to an alkene. For example, let's take ethene and add HBr to it. Now, ethene is an example of symmetrical alkene. Symmetrical alkenes are those which have exactly same atoms on both the sides of the double bond. So one example is ethene. Another example would be but2ene, because in that case the double bond will be between second and third carbon, and on both the sides of the double bond we'll be having CH3. So if you have symmetrical alkene, you do not have to worry. You just have to attach Br on one carbon of the double bond, like this Br is attached to this carbon and H to the other carbon. It may be other way around also. You can attach Br to this carbon and hydrogen to this one. So in any case, you are going to get bromoethane. I am not getting different products by changing the position of Br. But when I have unsymmetrical or asymmetrical alkene, for example, I have propene. Why am I calling it unsymmetrical? Because on both the sides of the double bond, I cannot see same type and number of atoms. This side you have only CH2 and this side you have CH3 and CH. So this is an example of unsymmetrical alkene. Here the Markovnikov's rule applies. The Markovnikov's rule says, its statement is also very important. You can be asked to write it in the exam. And otherwise also, if you remember it properly, it's going to help you whenever you have to predict the products. So the rule says the negative part of addendum is the molecule like HBr here, which is adding to the double bond. So the negative part of the addendum goes to that carbon of the double bond which has lesser number of hydrogens. Right now, I am just telling you the product on the basis of the statement. But why do we predict the products like that? That answer will come when you understand the mechanism. So the rule says the negative part of addendum, that is Br minus here, this will be negative and this will be positively charged. We write delta positive and delta negative because these are covalent bonds. So the negative part goes to that carbon which has lesser number of hydrogens. I have to see the carbons, those carbons only which are involved in double bond. So here this carbon has one hydrogen and this carbon has two hydrogens. So here the Br will come because it has lesser number. So I will be getting 2 bromopropane. It does not mean that one bromopropane will not be formed. It will be formed, but we are predicting the major product, the one which is in more quantity. So that will be 2 bromopropane. Now we'll understand why this happens, why 2 bromopropane is the major product by its mechanism. And notice one more thing here. The addition of hydrogen halides is called electrophilic addition reaction. Electrophilic addition reaction means the electrophile, which is electron deficient, which is seeking electrons, will be attacking, and using that will be predicting the product formed here. So the Markovnikov's rule, I told you the statement already. It says that the negative part of the addendum, adding a molecule, gets attached to that carbon atom which possesses lesser number of hydrogen atoms. So just remember that the carbon atom that you have to see are those which are involved in a double bond because addition will take place there only. And now the most important part, the mechanism. The mechanism says that if I show this propene, their carbons are numbered 1, 2, 3 as it should be, and then HBr is adding. So this bond is going to break like this. I'll get H plus and Br minus. So this H plus is adding. When it is getting attached here, there are two possibilities. I can attach H here to this carbon. So I'll get CH2. This converts to a single bond because we have used the pi electrons here to make bond with H plus, which was without even a single electron. And in the process, the adjacent carbon gets a positive charge. Same way, I can show the attachment of H plus on this carbon. If it is attaching here, the positive charge will come on this carbon, which was involved in a double bond with the terminal 1. Now, if you see these carbocations carefully, we got two possible carbocations. Which is more stable? Everybody can see that this is more stable because this is secondary. The carbon involved in making the carbocation, that means the carbon having the positive charge is attached to two more carbons directly. So we call it secondary carbocation. And we can explain it on the basis of hyperconjugation or inductive effect that secondary carbocations are more stable. So something which is more stable will be formed in more quantity. And along with that, primary carbocation will also be formed, but this is less stable than secondary. So it will be formed in lesser quantity. And once you get the carbocations, the counter ion Br minus is already there to attack. So it will be attacking on the carbocations, and this is going to be the major product. Same way, you will be getting one bromopropane using this less stable carbocation, you can explain. So here you will be getting one bromopropane, which will be minor product. That means the one which is in lesser quantity. So it's a very simple mechanism, easy to understand. And this is giving the answer that why the statement says the negative part of addendum goes to that carbon which has lesser number of hydrogens. This is the reason. So this mechanism is very, very important. Same way, we have another mechanism which is just opposite to this particular mechanism that we have just understood. That is anti-Markovnikov addition or peroxide effect. Another name, Raj effect, after the name of the scientist who explained it. Now, anti-Markovnikov addition, if there is a peroxide, same reaction we are considering, propene plus HBr. But if you have a peroxide, this particular compound is a peroxide. In peroxide, you have two oxygens attached to each other by a single bond. So you will see the structure because this peroxide is the molecule which is starting the process. So here you have one bromopropane as the major product, and in the Markovnikov's addition we had 2-bromopropane as the major product. So here the major product is totally different. So we are calling it anti-Markovnikov. It's carried out in the presence of peroxide. So we call it peroxide effect also. Another thing is that this was observed by Harash and Mayo in 1933 at the University of Chicago. So after the name of the scientist Harash, it is called Harash effect also. You should know these terms, that why these names are given. Then, if I understand the mechanism for this particular reaction, this structure of benzoyl peroxide, which was there in the previous slide also on the arrow, is very, very important. Here you have C6H5 or benzene, here phenyl group I should say, attached to C double bond O. Same way you have C6H5 C double bond O, exactly same attachments on both the sides of this particular bond, which is called peroxide linkage. As I told you that two oxygens are attached to each other by single bond. So this reaction follows free radical mechanism. And we know that free radicals are formed when there is homolysis taking place. So that's why homolysis is being explained here. Let us understand it. There is a single bond between two oxygens. That means two electrons are there. So when you have this peroxide and the required conditions are given, the homolysis will take place. I am showing half arrow here and half here. That means both the oxygens are taking their electron back. Now this entity is not stable. Oxygen is more electronegative, and you can see the octet of oxygen is not complete. You do not have to write all this when you are explaining the mechanism. I'm adding all this so that you can relate it to whatever previous knowledge you have and understand it in a better manner. So the oxygen which is here is not having the complete octet. So it will try to take electron density from the atoms to which it is attached. So if it is attracting the electron density towards itself, in that process, this bond is going to break. Homolysis. So if the carbon of benzene takes its electron back, and same way this carbon is taking its electron back. So this carbon is the carbon which is directly attached to oxygen. This one. It's going to get one electron, and one electron, odd electron is already there on oxygen. So they both combine, and this particular entity goes out as carbon dioxide. So I am left with phenyl free radical. Now phenyl free radical reacts with HBr, and HBr again undergoes homolysis, same manner, one electron here and one here. So the hydrogen attaches to C6H5 free radical and I get a stable hydrocarbon which is benzene. In that process I get Br free radical. Now the free radicals are electron deficient, so this is also an electrophile which is generated here. So we call it electrophilic addition. In the previous mechanism, which is Markovnikov's addition, there also H plus was attacking. So it started with an electrophile, so electrophilic addition, and then you have to show the reaction of this free radical with the propene. So here also homolysis will take place. If I say that this carbon is taking away its electron, this is taking away its electron, both the carbons will be having one electron which they have taken back by breaking up the pi bond. Now if Br attaches to the first carbon, if Br free radical, which is here, this one, if it attaches to the first carbon, this one, then the second carbon will be having the electron on it. The free radical is secondary in this case. And if the Br attaches to the second carbon, the first carbon will be involved in showing the free radical. So we know that free radicals are also electron deficient. So secondary is more stable. So secondary will be formed in more quantity. And finally, the hydrogen free radical will come by homolysis of another molecule of HBr, because once a free radical is formed, they keep on attacking on each other. It's like a chain reaction kind of thing. So this free radical is taking H from here. I get the major product, 1-bromo, propane. In that process, another Br free radical is available now. Now this can attack on another molecule of propene, and this is how the reaction keeps on going. Same way, if you show minor product, this was the less stable free radical. So HBr reacts with this by homolysis only, and you get minor product, and the reaction keeps on going till we stop giving the conditions. The reaction will keep on going and keep giving you the major product in more quantity. Now here something very important from reasoning point of view, that peroxide effect is not observed in addition of HCl and HI. It is observed only in case of HBr. If you have HBr in the presence of peroxide, only then peroxide effect or Kharash effect or anti-Markovnikov addition is observed. Why that? This is because if you just compare the three hydrogen halides in their particular order, you have chloro first. If you move from top to bottom in the group 17, chloro, then you have bromo, and then you have iodo. So I'm writing the hydrogen halides also in the same order. Now as you move down, the size of halogen is increasing, and that means the strength of the bond is decreasing in this particular direction. So HCl has strongest bond, HI has weakest bond. Now the conditions which are there for this particular reaction, which is following peroxide effect, It says that HCl bonding is very strong. Under those conditions, it is difficult to break the HCl bond. So if the bond doesn't break by homolysis, I cannot expect the products as are being formed here with Br, free radical. So its bond strength is quite high. You need 430.5 kilojoules of energy per mole to break this HCl bond. It is so much stronger than HBr bond, in which you need 363.7 kilojoules per mole. So it is broken easily. It is cleaved easily by the free radicals. And HI, what is the problem with HI then? HI is very easy to break. So HI has very weak bond. The bond breaks quickly, and as soon as the iodine free radicals are formed, they combine with each other to give rise to I2 molecule. But I don't want to create I2 molecule. I want this I free radical to attack on the double bond. But that doesn't happen because I2 forms so quickly that instead of adding to the double bond, it just gets formed and escapes. So that is why HBr has the proper bond strength which can be broken by the free radicals, and this is the reason that you get peroxide effect result only in case of HBr in the presence of peroxide. And one more very important thing, because here I am explaining the bond strength, I hope you can predict that how we can explain the order of their reaction, like HCl will be reacting very fast or HI. So the order of reactivity of hydrogen halides is HI reacts fastest, then HBr, then HCl, which is purely related to their bond strengths. Now, very interesting question from your NCRT only, that if you have hexavalene and you have to predict the products in the absence of peroxide and in the presence of peroxide, how are you going to predict that? So I can see in the first one, it is absence of peroxide. In the absence of peroxide, I have Marconic oxidation. So here in this case, the negative part should go to this carbon, which has lesser number of hydrogens. So I should get, yes, 2-bromohexane. And in the second case, I can see peroxide is being taken with HBr. So here in this case, the negative part will go to that carbon which has more number of hydrogen. So it should go to the first carbon. So I am going to get 1-bromohexane as the major product. So that is all about these mechanisms. I hope the presentation helps you in understanding the mechanisms and solving questions based on them. All the best.